Yeah, no, you're good. You're good. What's going on?
Oh, Jamie.
So, what's this about?
Jamie.
Men are subsidizing women at work?
I was really angry yesterday when I woke up. I
Uh.
saw you were online. I was like, Jamie's good at dealing with this kind of thing.
Yeah, I was actually when you were hitting me up, I was at work doing my overnight job, and I had a friend of mine hitting me up because another friend of ours got arrested. And it's like 2 in the morning, and she's like, "Can you get in touch with his family? You know, this, and that." And I'm like,
What?
I'm at work. Like, I
That's
don't
the
know.
police's job.
Yeah, right.
I shouldn't tell him.
But
Just
yeah.
wait for him to knock the door down. It will become clear.
Well, and the crazy thing is the place he got arrested. It's like the other side of the river from where I live. It's a different county, but the police over there, anything I've ever heard about them is always just that they are fucking corrupt and brutal, and it's like as far as like my local area and all the little cities and towns and all of that, like this is like the hippie place. Like it's not Woodstock, New York. That I guess that's a little more hippie-ish, kind of yuppie lesbian area. But New Paltz is like the hippie dippy town. But the cops like are just fucking brutal and corrupt as all shit. Like I've heard stories about friends being over there during the Bush administration after 9/11, handing out anti-war pamphlets, and they got jumped by someone in plain clothes, and next thing you know the cops ran up on them, and the person in plain clothes was actually a cop, and they like entrapped them, and then they basically like run you through the system where if you try to defend yourself they'll just postpone it and delay things and make you go broke trying to pay a lawyer to defend yourself. Same thing happened with my friend. He got caught with like less than a half a gram of cocaine, but and that's would have just been a fine, but then they tack on like resisting arrest, tampering with evidence, and like all this other nonsense so that
How the
it
fuck do you get busted with just half a G?
right.
Why didn't you just how? Why didn't you just throw it on the ground? Like,
Well, see now that's the thing. That's what he did, and they didn't find it on him. They just found it on the ground near him, and that's how they add on tampering with evidence. And all I can think is, I'm like,
actually, that's legit because you could just say it's possession. That's the charge. I wasn't possessing it, man.
yeah. And the only thing I can think of is like, wouldn't the
Or just ram it down your throat.
wouldn't it have to be in their custody for it to be considered evidence? Like, I don't know
Well,
how.
the police would say that they searched him because it's a drug-related area, and and then you could use that as your defense. Saying, well, that's probably why you found coke, you fucking knobs.
It was outside of a bar.
Yeah.
So I mean, it could have been there
Uh,
from anyone,
yeah,
but
but still, why didn't you just ram it down your throat? It's just half a G. I
well,
would have just snorted it in front of him.
he did that last time, and he thinks it never passed. So that's probably why he didn't do it this time, because he still thinks there's 2 bags of coke trapped inside his intestines somewhere, which is unrealistic, but whatever.
Yeah, well, that's why you can just. Oh, no, I don't know. You got some crazy friends, Jamie.
Yeah, that's what happens when you're friends with drug dealers. But yeah, so that's why I was up and online, and it was a crazy night. But back to what you were saying. So the men at the office pay for the women to do nothing.
Do you want to hear the story? I mean, I'm pretty heartbroken. It's taken me to now to get over it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I had quite a big breakdown over it. So I started working for a temporary company for Surex. Do you know Surex?
Yeah.
So it's this really posh office. It's fucking posh. Go in there, everyone's a temp. And the guy who's training me is 19 years old, and his mum works, his stepmum. And his stepmum's like 20 stone, just this evil, like, toad in a corner, and she just yells at everyone. So what my job is Xerox copies. You know what they are, photocopiers, right? People get these big contracts when they buy them, so you get like maintenance and you get engineers when it goes wrong. So their job is just to like schedule engineers so they get there in a certain time. Does that make sense? So a scheduler will have like a couple of engineers under them, and they'll like plan their day and stuff. So my job is just to pick up the phone when it goes wrong. So when people phone up and just say, hey, no one's turned up, the photocopy's still crap, or calls just get stuck and you just need to unstick them. So I get all the shit. And my job is just to walk to the other side of the office, try and get the nearest time for the customer I can get. And the next part is just to fill out a call report, right? This is where, tell me if you get lost this, it should be quite straightforward. So these people have been doing this for 4 or 5 years, and they said, do the call report, which comes from like some other office. So I looked at it and opened it, and all it is just like each branch has got like about, like in our case, we've got 200 calls. Just take the call reference number, go into Sept, which is like a customer relations software, type in the reference number, and then work out what status the call's in, right? So people know what calls are outstanding and which ones aren't. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So this kid had this spreadsheet, and he'd go from call reference, which is cell B1, and then go all the way to like where he needs to put the information, copy the call reference, go into CRM, look at the status right on site, and then put that in like a column miles and miles away. And I was just like, dude, I don't think you're doing that right. Like, do you seriously do that all day? And it's like, yeah. I was going, mate, this is you shouldn't be doing this. And it's like, what do you know? I was going, because I know how a spreadsheet works. If you're just typing that data in one by one by one by one by one, all you need to do is go on SAP and pull off today's report, which has got the call reference and the status of the call, and do a field lookup. You don't need to do each individual. You know what a field lookup is? Take this data from this report, if it's unique, find it in the other report, and take the data you want. Does that make sense? It's a simple function. You're not supposed to go through and cut and paste and search every call, then type in your own thing about what status you think the call's in, because that tells me, like, when you use data has to be consistent. So if you're doing that, Italy's doing that, France is doing that, Romania's doing that, the data's useless because everyone's got their own way of doing it. So first of all, no one's actually checking the spreadsheet, I can guarantee you. B, there's no point in it, and C, you're doing it wrong. It's not a 4-hour job. You just go into the column you want the status to call, you go VLOOKUP, look up this table you're in, this reference number, put the spreadsheet you want the information from behind it, and just go, when you see this reference number, give me the result of column, D2, which is the status to call. Done. 2 minutes. Done. And I said, this is like really poor. Like, you guys have been there for like 3 or 4 years, and you spend 4 hours a day on that. So I think they just stole my idea. It took them a while to get it. And then when the rest of the time I'm taking calls, and I have to go to this Toad, like every person I call to get a schedule for when the engineer's going to be there, I don't have any problems. Like, I have to call Romania to get a schedule, I have to call France to get a schedule, I have to call Ireland, Scotland, have a bit of a joke with the person. Not had any problems with any customers. But I go ask this kid's stepmom for an ETA, and she'll just start swearing at me, giving me shit. So after 4 days of it, with me going there every time, I let her know it's just a little bit uncomfortable, like it's mildly terrifying coming here. Like, it's the something I've done. Like, what's going on? How come it's like this? She threatened to fire me there and then, in front of everyone. And then a meeting was called where she apologised for threatening me. Because everyone was like, oh, you can't just threaten somebody, and you don't have the authority to fire him anyway. You're not his boss. And then you can imagine it just escalated and escalated and escalated. And then on Friday, she started yelling at me. So the big boss lady came up and broke it up. And I told the boss, like, I still need information from this lady. I still got the customer on the phone. Like, I need to know when the engineer's going to be there. She started making stuff up about mistakes I've done. I proved that, like, what she's saying isn't true. Like, she's saying, oh, you put this note and the other on there, which means that you told the customer that. And the stuff she was quoting on the notes wasn't what the note said. And it turned really ugly. And it just told me to get out, just to leave. And then they denied that she threatened to fire me. And they denied that we had a meeting where she had to apologise. And everyone's saying how nice she is. She never yells at anyone. That morning, she sent an email out apologising for her behaviour that week. And it's going, oh no, there's no such email. So it's like, And then they were laughing whilst they were firing me. They're going, "No, we're not firing you. We're just letting you go, and don't think you're being fired. Like, we're not firing you." It's like, you are. I'm not voluntarily leaving, so therefore I'm being fired. And why are you laughing about this? I should have expectations that when I go into work, I'm not going to be sworn at all the time. I think that's a fair expectation to have.
Yeah.
This is where it gets crazy. A couple of scenarios to make it funny, because all the audience are bored. You want to hear some funny shit about how bad it got? We had this one girl behind me. These girls did nothing all day. Nothing. So I'm new. I'm taking all the calls. I'm doing all the reports. And they're just shopping. So I thought that was just weird. And this one girl, she got an email from the New York office, right? And it said there's going to be a fire drill in the New York office at 10:30. So just like be aware. She started panicking, going, oh my god, I need to complain. She went to the highest of the head office at Surex going, what if there was the fire in New York and my family in Southampton thought I was there because you obviously think I'm there. Like, I don't work in New York. Why are you telling me about the fire drill? It's scary. Like, what if people think I'm missing and there's a real fire in New York? Like, you've got to get me off there now. Like, I feel harassed by it. I just feel anxiety about it. Why do you think I'm in New York? And it's like, they just send nationwide emails, lady. It's not like aimed at anyone in particular. Just calm down.
What a
they
moron.
don't think you're in New York. And this guy had to make a public apology to her on email.
Wow.
I have to sit next to her, man.
Yeah. That must be hard to deal with.
So it's like, what complaints has she made about me? Because I'm a little bit crazy. Like, I say what I want. So there must just be the biggest log of complaints against me. And then she got this other email from this guy, and it had the call reference, and he goes, oh, hi, we'll call her Julie. Can you give me an update on this call? Thanks. She highlighted that as a complaint because it was so rude. Like, how dare he, like, not try and have a conversation with her first? Why hasn't he asked her how she is? Why hasn't he tried to build up any rapport on the email? And she's like, this guy's so rude, read this email. This man's so rude. And I go, no, I'll read the email. What does it say? This should be good. And she read it. I was like, what's rude about it? Well, he hasn't insulted you. He hasn't told you to fuck off like I want to. And like, well, what's rude about it? And then she took that complaint to the highest. The guy's under investigation now for being aggressive towards a woman. So that happened. Gets better. This other guy who must sit near the guy who got investigated sent her an email. Needed some information off her. He was going, oh, how are you? How's Southampton? Blah, 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 blah. And she goes, oh, it's quite a long journey to work. So he wrote back, going, oh, really? Where do you travel from? He's now got a harassment case on him for asking her how she travels to work. She now feels threatened. Because like he could stalk her now. So like, the other guy is rude for not asking you enough shit about your life. The other guy fucking does ask you about his life. He's now got harassment. And they take, like, these people are making public having to apologise to keep their job. And they don't do, like, what do they do? Like, I haven't seen them do any work. So I think people are on holiday. They brought me in for 2 weeks. As soon as my boss actually comes back and I meet him, they just thought, just get rid of this guy. Because we're going to look so dumb when our boss comes back.
Yeah.
It's not going to look good. So yeah, I had a bit of a breakdown over it, if I'm honest. Pretty much cried over it, because I was fucking good at that job.
Yeah, women are...
Think how much I saved Surex just by showing them how to do a report properly. 200 grand a year I probably just saved, and they've just stolen that idea. Some girl's just stolen it who does nothing, shops all day. It's probably going to get a massive pay rise for it.
Women are hard to work with. I mean, some of them are just, it's like it's sort of like the... Well, it's like the...
do anything all day, and it's like, I'm new. Like, shouldn't you be taking some of these calls, like helping me out?
Have you ever heard?
Even if you're not supposed to do it, why aren't you doing it?
Have you ever heard the Owen Benjamin thing? How he says that like men are naturally capitalist and women are naturally communist because if a guy sees someone who's really good at something, he'll be like, "Oh man, he's really good at this. We should make him, the lead or the head of whatever he's really good at." But women, if they see someone who's really good at something, they're like, "We have to tear them down." Like
They said the job would take 3 months to get to grips with. I was all by myself within 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, there's no training or anything. I had to figure everything out by myself. Wasn't really very hard to figure out. Now, they can't even figure out how to use basics of a spreadsheet. The other thing is they're panicking on Sept. They've got this new Sept and it's going, how do I change the colour of my screen? How do I change the look? How do I change the way it looks? I just go, you just click the clogs options and they go, don't touch it, you're new, you'll break it. It's like, everyone knows that logo means settings.
Yeah.
Just go on the menu, you're either looking for settings or view, right? Just click on settings, opinions, and I'll look, theme, settings, colour. They start on a panic attack. It's like, why ask me how to do it if you're just going to panic?
Yeah, right?
Well,
What the thing is that they... And I notice this even just around the house with my mother at times. They just want things to complain about. Like, my mom all the time will complain the basement's a mess or that I have too much stuff in my closet and she can't get to, like, the few things of hers that she keeps in my closet. So yesterday, I'm cleaning out my closet and moving things down to the basement. So I'm cleaning both of them, and she starts freaking out, being like, well, is there room, here? I'm like, I'm trying to make room in the one by moving stuff. Like, you can't have it both ways. And what they'll do is they'll complain about a problem and then just find reasons why.
Just answer them. If you answer, just logic. Oh, why are you being so aggressive, Jamie?
Well, no, my response was, I said...
Why are you being so aggressive, Jamie?
I said, which will you bitch about first? Not being able to get to the stuff in the basement or not being able to get to the stuff in the closet? And she said, I'm not bitching! Like, and it's like, do you even hear your... Like, first of all, I didn't say you were, but now you are. Like, it's just like... They make it where they'll put forth a problem and then you're like, okay, well, I can fix it with X, Y, or Z, and they'll be like, no, and you're like, oh, you just want a problem to complain about. You don't want anything fixed because you want it done in a certain way that makes it impossible. Like, women are like that in general, I find.
When you approach this guy and ask her why she's so upset with me, she goes, I'm not being rude, I'm not, what the hell's wrong with you? Starts rolling her eyes.
Yeah.
It's like, that's an example. It's like, not necessarily what you say, but rolling the eyes kind of hints.
Yeah. I hate that about women, where they'll be like... You're
just saying that you're not doing it. You just did it right then.
You could go, why do you have so...
Right, you're doing it now. You did it again.
Yeah, why do you have such an attitude? I don't. And it's like, what do you call your response then?
And she picks up the phone and goes, let me call your boss and tell him you can't do the job. So I said, oh, so you're going to fire me then? Because I don't like the way you speak to me. That's nice. Go on and go fire me. And then we had a meeting and then she apologised. And then when I spoke to because what I was going to do, I was going to wait till my boss gets back, just ignore everything and bring it to his attention maybe once he's settled in for 3 days. Just go, oh, the job's fine, but it's just one guy I don't get on with. Like, there's 20 people in the office. There's going to be one I upset, right? Help me out. And then when it all kicked off, they denied that there's any chance this girl could be rude. It's like, she's 20 stone. She has to wear medication pants. Do you know what I mean? She's obviously not with it.
Yeah.
Like, 2 people in her team phoned in ill at the same day after a big argument, and then they come back to work the next day and they're fine. So it's obvious that they're not getting on. That's not illness. That's them not being able to deal with her. She fired the other new starter. And now you're saying, oh, it's me that can't get... I'm getting along with everybody in Romania. I'm getting along with all your customers. I'm getting on with the people I work with. It's just this one girl I don't get on with. And now you're denying that she's got this problem, even though she sent an email apologising for the problem she's got. Oh, she hasn't got a problem. Why is she sending an email to the company apologising for her problem? Why did I have a meeting? And then my boss saying, well, just because she picked up a phone and said, I'm going to call the boss and say you can't do your job, that doesn't mean she's firing you. So, well, what does that mean then? Then first of all, they said she didn't even say it, and they go check, okay, well, maybe she did say it, but it's not what you said she said. Okay, she didn't say she's going to fire me, she picked up a phone and said, I'm going to call your boss so you can't do your job. Which to me means I'm getting fired. I'm sorry I interpreted it that way, but that's probably my mistake. Sorry, because I really want to keep the job, so I'm even apologising. It's like I'm in a fucking Twilight Zone now. And then my boss's friend, because she's a female, she had to bring in muscle with her, this guy. He was laughing, and I just stopped him in and said, dude, I don't know who you are, I'm Paul. Why are you laughing at my misfortune? Why are you finding this fun? Like, I understand it is funny, but you should try and not laugh. At least try. Because you seem to find this funny. And then I said, I was going to quit yesterday, I was going to quit the day before because I'm getting migraines, I'm getting headaches, I know where this road's going. And they say, well, if you feel like that, maybe you should go. If it is making you ill, maybe you should go. And I was like, no, maybe you should offer me a work environment, which you promised at the interview. You didn't say I'd be reporting to this toad. That's crazy. You said you want all this stuff in the interview. You want truth. You don't want the truth.
Yeah.
You don't want it. You said you want change. I've tried changing stuff and fixing stuff. Each time I get, I don't want to change it, until I actually do it, and then you steal the idea. What do you mean you don't want change? All the way through the interview, you're telling me how you need all this change to make things better. No, you don't want change. You want a unicorn. You want a fucking unicorn. And like, it's weird when you're the first guy here and you're the only person doing any work. Your whole team's just on shopping on handbags all day. It's weird. I'm not saying they shouldn't be doing that. It's just not a good feeling. So yeah, I would have done really well at that job as well.
Man, that sucks.
And that's why salaries are so low, because people are terrified of women. The guys there they just wouldn't speak. You could just tell they had that look of horror on their face. Somehow they survived because they're just not men anymore. And you know what it's like when your first 2 weeks, you do everything to try and make the best impression you can.
Yeah.
So I'm being like over the top nice to everybody. And then I get spoken to like that all the time. And these women, it'd be different if I had respect for their intelligence. If I saw them working hard, doing a hard job, you'd probably take it. When they're just sat there doing absolutely nothing, it's like, no, you're not going to talk to me like that. No, I don't think this is on. And if a customer swears at me, that's an excuse to put the phone down, right? Like, I never do that. If a customer swears, go, fuck this, fuck that. I still keep with the call because I'm not that delicate. Like, the problem needs to be solved. I'm not just going to hang up on a customer. They're always going, hang up. As soon as she tells you to fuck off, hang up. You don't have to listen to that abuse. You don't have to listen to that abuse. But they've got no problem using that abuse on me. I don't make any... Imagine if I came in my first 2 weeks, started swearing at everyone. Telling them to fuck off and getting aggressive. And yeah, then the women said that I was the aggressive one. And go, what did I do that was aggressive? I'm not an aggressive guy. And they go, I don't know, I haven't got any examples. But you got complaints from customers. Okay, well, no one's told me this. Can I see the complaint or have an example? I haven't got any examples. It's like, what's the point in this? Why don't you just throw me out? Why are you even bothering to like act reasonable? You're enabling the person that's bullying me. That's all you're doing. And you're denying that she ever bullied me when we had a meeting where she apologised for it, and she sent an email apologising for bullying. Now you're saying she never acts aggressive. Like, this is just, I don't know what's going on anymore. And they go, well, we're not firing you, we're just going to let you go. It's like, well, then I'm being fired then. Why don't you just be honest and just say you're firing me because some bitch keeps losing it or can't control herself? Why don't you just be honest about it for what it is?
Wow. I think...
Yeah. That was my week.
Well, to tie that into the news, have you...
You can't.
Well, you can, because have you been keeping up with the Supreme Court nonsense going on over here?
Only a tiny bit.
Well, basically, the leftist and their media and the politicians seem to have a new tactic, which is basically they say racist, 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 racist until they sort of get drunk and start slurring, and the racist turns into rapist. So now it's rapist, rapist, rapist. You know, they did it to Trump towards the end of election. It's like their Hail Mary shot.
They do it in my office.
Yeah, where it's like, you're a racist, you're a racist. This isn't working? Rapist! You're a rapist now! It's like...
I'm a victim, I need help, come rescue me. And while flashing their boobs, come help me, I'm a dancer in distress.
Yeah, and it's really, it's so, like, there's like a level of cognitive dissonance where you're looking at them and you're just like, is this what female empowerment really looks like? Like, you playing the victim to destroy others is your warped idea of being in power? Like, false allegations and just overreactions and pearl clutching and, I mean, yeah,
women see it as being an actress. It's like, I'm such a great actress. It's like, no, you're just screwing everyone over.
Yeah. Yeah, and then they wonder why they end up as lonely cat ladies. Like, because who'd want to be around someone with that type of mentality?
Well, the other thing that's crazy is this is all to just get Trump impeached, isn't it? And it's such a long road to that impeachment that this is the beginning of the road. To think that it's worth it for the end game. It's like, even if the story did get through and you did get your charges, you still got a long way to the midterms and to get Trump impeached.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like impeachment.
It's
Well, even at that,
insanity.
Bill Clinton was impeached. He didn't leave office. So, I mean, I don't...
He was impeached for Monica Lewinsky, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Or was he not? I don't know.
He was. But impeachment doesn't mean you're thrown out. So it's like, I don't know what their end game is. But I'll tell you what, it really bothers me because I feel like, you know, and I mean, I guess maybe some liberals or whatever could say this is my white privilege showing, but I think it's a lot more when you
That's a good show. We should have the white privilege show.
we should. When you level these allegations and racist gets thrown around so willy-nilly that it just devalues the, meaning of it. I guess that's one thing when, there really isn't systemic racism anymore. You just have individual instances of it.
That's why they lowered the bar. Everyone's a racist now.
Yeah, but the thing I'm saying is it really bothers me that that bar now is being lowered for rape and harassment and sexual abuse and everything, because I don't feel as if that's something that, like, I just think how do these the actual victims feel when these feminists come out and say, oh, some guy was staring at me on the subway for too long and I felt violated and raped.
No,
it's like, you have
you
no
idea. At work. Someone
Yeah.
sent me an email and asked me for a call reference. I feel like I've been raped. I need help. And then they're doing a fire drill in New York and they sent me an email about it. I need help. I need to send an email now. I'm going to spend the rest of the day writing an email and getting it checked by all my friends. And then they're going to tell me how brave I am. Because I'm brave. I'm fighting for all the women.
Well, speaking of
Can you
which,
help me get this fucking engineer to fix this fucking copier? There's a fucking copier in London he's fixing. Get an engineer there now. He's been phoning all week.
did you see that reminded me that I'm fighting for all women thing?
I think where the story's good, you missed the best part of the story. I don't really follow this because I'm in London.
Yeah.
But the best part was how innocent this girl was. Oh, she's so innocent, she wouldn't lie. And it turns out she's like whore of the century. All their yearbook stuff got released.
Really?
It's like, have you not seen it?
No, that I haven't seen.
She was doing underage sex during school. Advertising it's all in her yearbook.
Wow.
Doing sexual posing, and then they've just found loads of photos of her on VIP boats, naked, drinking champagne. She's looking like a complete porn star. All the way through.
I was gonna bring up. Did you see?
So innocent and delicate. It's like not according to a yearbook.
Did you see the thing about Serena Williams? where she was at that match, and
Yeah.
it made the headlines where like the coach was sending her like signals, so she got a point for that. Then she just started lashing out, broke her racket, and then it turns into, but men do it, but men don't get in trouble. And then when they asked her at the press conference, I'm fighting for women and women's rights, and it's like, you're a poor loser, you're a spoiled brat, you're probably a dude at like born a man.
Jamie,
Like,
how dare you?
I'll tell you what, she's another one. Her and Michelle Obama are
You're getting crazy now, Jamie.
Black Tranny Club. But yeah, I have some of the
that story gets worse too because people did cartoon impressions.
yeah, I know, and then of course
That's so racist. Serena feels like she's gonna be raped any minute now. She can't sleep.
yeah, I mean you have it, and I'll tell you what, even like if this is Jake Tapper, is this Jake Tapper? CNN's Sunday CNN State of the Union. Yeah, I guess it probably was Jake Tapper. I mean, even him, I have an article here. I have this app now that gives me Drudge, Breitbart, and a few other sources. You had a Senate Judiciary Committee member, Mazi Hirono. Tapper was asking her, he said, Wall Street Journal wrote a piece saying about the presumption of guilt and said, that this is the complete opposite of American law. Like, you're supposed to be assumed innocent until, proven guilty, and everyone just seems to be throwing it upside down on her head. The woman even responded. She said, well, if, Wall Street Journal cares about due process, I would say they should care that there's been no independent investigation of these allegations. I think this is the type of attitude that really makes it difficult for victims and survivors of these types of trauma to come forward. We don't really seem to have come that far, and this, and that. And they all just basically say, okay, so even though all four of the witnesses that she said to go ask have said, we know nothing about it, they don't know each other, she's lying, you're still saying we need to act under the presumption that she's telling the truth because the next person that might come forward, like, this is like they're rallying this witch hunt mob where they're just saying we need to create an environment of guilty until proven innocent.
I think it's bigger than that because I think that's what I'm experiencing at work. I think when people see this in the newspaper and they see this kind of behaviour, it becomes normal, and then that becomes into society. Because whenever you pick up a newspaper, especially the Daily Mail or the Metro in England, it's basically soft porn with a couple of stories in it. Most of the stories are just porn stories. It's like, look at this woman, she's in her bikini. Look at this celebrity, her tits are falling out. And it just encourages that all men are stupid and all women are empowered by being sluts and basically manipulating, lying, and so I think it has an effect on society as well. And I think that's why MGTOW is so strong, because it comes through the media. The media sets the norms for what I see in the workplace.
I mean, even
they look at women and think, oh, I can be like that woman.
I'm even reading this, and like this stuff, it shows how warped their mindset is when you read it in text, because it's like Tapper asks, doesn't Kavanaugh have any of the same presumption of innocence as anyone else in America? And this woman says, I put his denial in context of everything that I know about him in terms of how he approaches his cases. As I said, his credibility is very questionable in my mind and in the other minds of fellow Judiciary Committee members, the Democrats. So when he comes and when he says he's very outcome-driven and he has an ideological agenda, is very outcome-driven, I can sit here and talk to you about some of the cases that exemplify his, in my view, inability to be fair in the cases that come before him. This is a person that is going to be sitting on our Supreme Court making decisions that will impact women's reproductive choice. He's very much against women's reproductive choices. And that's why you don't think he deserves to be innocent till proven guilty. Like, she's not even answering the question. She's just
It's about I don't know, I'm the wrong person. It's about distracting who's going to get the vote. Whoever gets the vote is going to be able to impeach Trump.
Like even Tapper says, and I'll tell you what, congrats to Jake Tapper for actually like holding her feet to the fire here. it sounds like to me you're saying because you don't trust him on policy and because you don't believe in him when he says, for instance, that he does not have an opinion on Roe vs. Wade, you don't believe him about this allegation that happened at a party in 1982. Is that fair?
What about the limit of what's it called? Limit of something.
Oh yeah, you're supposed to have oh fuck, I can't even no, it's not statute, it's but you're right, there's a limit on how long you can go after someone for something. It's all the other terms are coming to head, like double jeopardy and
You know why there's a limit?
well, because evidence and everything else, like, you can't just be like, what are they supposed to investigate? Like, there's not going to be any forensics. There's not. How are you going to track people down? Like, and memory changes. Memory is, you can't. People's memories will merge and warp.
I would say because it becomes convenient, you can use it as a tool and just wait for the right time to do it. Like, I don't know, a midterm, and just use it to set somebody up.
The woman finishes with, well, this is why it is so important that there will be at least an investigation so that there's some effort at collaboration, and we think there is a lot of drinking going on. As far as his friend Mark Judge, not even testifying, that's astounding to me. He was right there in that room. He refuses to testify. I think it was Crowder I was listening to that said something where he was like, this whole idea even that he didn't rape her, but that he just, like, undressed her and groped her a little and then stopped. Like, rapists get off on raping. Like, it would be like someone who runs marathon races, getting up in the morning, putting on their shoes and their shorts, doing their stretching, getting all warmed up, walking up to the starting line and just going, not today. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, it's so ridiculous, but all you have are all these people saying, I believe in her, she's telling the truth. Like, it's just become this sort of tool where, like I said, they go, racist, that's not working, rapist, and it's like that they're really, really turning into the boy that cried wolf.
Is it statute of limitations?
And now, statute of limitation, yes. And now she's even saying, like, the latest thing I heard is they were like, all right, well, you can, are you going to testify under oath and all this stuff? You can come, we'll interview you over here. You could go over here. Good. We could do it over the phone. We could do it like this.
I'm good.
She says, yeah, I'm not good with flying. I'm not going to fly. And he's like, but we said you could do it over the phone. No, I'm not going to do it because, I'm afraid of flying. It's like, what the fuck? But I hope this woman gets arrested, because this is like a serious false allegation.
It's probably not that. I feel sorry for her. I mean, if you look at her past, you look at her yearbook, you look at her prostitution, she's probably got all these closets, all these skeletons in her closet, and she's just being blackmailed like the next person is. They got something on that bitch. Maybe they got some tax returns that weren't done properly, a couple of contracts where the, weren't ticked correctly. I mean, the thing that kind of leads to, for my thinking, is that we've got to be looking at an October surprise. Like, what's that going to be coming up? They have to get rid of Trump in the next 30 weeks, or they've pretty much had it. When's the midterms? 40 weeks or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
That far away? Is it that far away, or is it 40 days?
Probably closer to 40 days. I think it's first week of, like, November. So it's like a month or 5 weeks, maybe.
Yeah, November. So you need a really big October surprise. And I think people... I don't know. I mean, the news is getting very crazy at the moment. Alex Jones still hasn't come back. And now they've got rid of his fucking PayPal.
Yeah, I saw that.
But I think, and the other thing is Trump's worrying me a little bit because he still is surrounded by Bilderberg. He's still surrounded by Goldman Sachs. And I want to know what it's doing mucking around with Syria.
And it's interesting because we don't hear much about that over here. I haven't heard, even when you brought it up 2 weeks ago, like we don't hear anything about Syria in the news or headlines. And I mean, maybe you're hearing it because it's what's more international news, like involving America, but it's just, it doesn't, I haven't seen anything really about it. It's amazing though that, I mean, even like I'm reading an article here where it's talking about how they tried to pull this same thing on Clarence Thomas, saying that he like raped someone when he was younger, and it's like, again, and they're basically saying like, you know, nothing's changed, this is just the same thing, and, you know, this is why women just need to be believed, and it's been 27 years since these happened, and we're still explaining why women don't always tell the authorities.
Rapes are made up, and that's the police own statistics. They say it's not an exact figure, but it's about 50-50.
Yeah.
That are made up.
Yeah, and a lot of it just ends up
made
being, he says, she...
Like, it distinctly says, made up.
Well, and I think that's why they try to blur the lines between rape and sexual assault and misconduct, and, you know, and then just saying, like, anything is completely severe.
It's going to spread to the work, because men are going to just not go anywhere near women at work. Like I do, I just do not go near any women at all. And why? Because you can just be accused of anything. And you don't even have to do anything. It's just whether she feels like you did it.
Yeah.
If you created that feeling inside them, it's like, dude, we're so fucked. That's why I'm kind of glad I got fired when I did. I bet you I would end up with some kind of massive, serious lawsuit. Fuck, Jamie, what am I going to do? Yeah, this Syria's going to escalate pretty quickly because, well, I mean, you must have heard about Israel shooting down the Russians.
I did just see it. I did
news.
just see a thing on Drudge about that. About them and Russia and Israel over a plane or something.
I just don't understand what business Trump's got there. He wants to send. I think he's already sent troops there. It's like your whole campaign was based on the bombing of Libya and Syria, basically destroyed Europe. That was the root cause of the refugee crisis.
Yeah.
And now you want to add to that? Because now that's going to push the refugee fucking narrative again.
But last I saw, though...
You got no business there. Syria does not want America there. They don't trust Americans for obvious reasons. Putin's got the whole thing under control.
But see, that's what I was going to say, though. Last I saw, I think we're collaborating this time with Russia now.
Nah, Putin told Trump to keep his nose out of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Not happy. I don't know if you're bored enough to hear about the Skripal case, but that got weirder.
What is it?
You know, the Salisbury poisoning.
No, well, I haven't heard any updates on it.
They've got 2 Russian suspects, and they did the tele-interview, and the whole story doesn't make sense. So they got the CCTV, and they show, look, the suspects walking past here, then they walk past here, then they walk down here, and it's all time stamped. Salisbury's the next town from me, and this time schedule they've got from MI5 is to the second. Someone needs to tell the MI5 those 2 plonkers are walking the wrong fucking way. They're going away from the target, not towards it. They're walking back. You fucking morons. And then I wrote a tweet to MI5. They released CCTV image of them coming into the UK through the airport at customs. You know when you get your passport checked? It's from that camera. And when you look at it, it's got suspect on the left and suspect on the right, and it says they're going through the same customs guy. It's the same guy that stamps them. The only problem with that is when you look at the CCTV time, it's exactly to the second. So they must have been stood on each other. They can't both be in the same place at the same time, can they?
Yeah, no.
You only go through customs and you get to the place where they stamp your passport. CCTV footage, their profile picture, getting that done, and the time's exactly the same. And then you go, okay, well maybe he's in the queue next to him, and they just happen to get there exactly the same second. You look at the photo, and all they've done, if you crop it back so it's the same angle, and then darken both pictures, you can see the dirt on both cameras is the same. You can see the dirt on the walls is the same. And you go, oh no, they're not stood next to each other, they're going through the same queue. And then in the interview, they said they went back to front, as in the guy went to the queue first, got his stamp, and then he went and saw the same guy, got his stamp by the same guy. So that hints that that photo is 100. It's not photoshopped, it's like the worst Photoshop you ever seen. So I tweeted to MI5 showing them my findings, going, look, if you just recrop the... Does that make sense? They cropped the photo to make it look like it's a different security camera.
Yeah.
If you just crop the photo back so the angle's the same, it's like, oh, it is the same, it's just a bad Photoshop. So no one in England, like, even people that don't believe in conspiracy theories, don't think this story is just totally made up. And it's just to sanction Russia, isn't it? I mean... Yeah, it's been dead in the news, really. I mean, Europe's just getting attacked left, right and centre with rape gangs, shootings, murder. That's still happening on a daily basis. My parents are talking about getting out of the country now. I showed them a video of, like, the euthanasia and stuff in the hospital, you know. Because I'm going to have to go through it with my parents. If my mum's ill and goes to a hospital, there's a serious chance they're going to try and strap her to a bed and kill her. Like, what am I supposed to do at that point? I can't get you out without getting arrested, without doing a life sentence. So if you want me to look after you when you're old, you've got to leave England. And she goes, oh, I've been thinking about that with my dad. Your dad sees stuff like that all the time, because my dad's going to be ill first. I was like, okay, what's the plan? If they get dad and he's ill, can't be bothered with the treatment and just want to kill him in the next hour, what are you going to do? Do you want me to do prison sentence to get you out? Because I'm willing to do it. You're my parents. I'm willing to do that. Do you want me to just ignore it and just have a peaceful hour with you before you die? Like, what do I do? When you're ill and doctors tell me the best thing to do is to euthanize you, I can't. They're going to use all this Orwellian speech about if I protest, I'm now going to be the criminal.
Yeah.
They're going to call the police to remove me. And it's just a scare. Once I start having this conversation with my parents, they're like, yeah.
Well, and the thing is
like...
like...
Because I'm going to go to jail. I have to defend you when you're in that house. And if that means killing the doctor, I'm going to do it.
Well,
the
and
doctor
it's
will
like...
die if they put that injection into you. I will kill them.
And if they're doing it to these children, where other nations would say, you know, send them to us and we'll try to save their lives and all that, why wouldn't they start doing it to the elderly more and more as, you know...
In this hospital I'm talking about, they did 150,000 in just 1 year.
Wow.
There's a video of it you can see where they're doing it to this guy's mum. They're like, oh, your mum's in pain, we're going to give her an injection, she's going to be gone in an hour. So he calls the police to say that he doesn't agree to it, he hasn't consented to it, and he just wants to take his mum home. Police arrested him for obstructing a doctor. So once you're in that system, you're kind of screwed. And I'm hearing about it all the time. And I don't want to talk about my brother. The problem my mum's got is my brother will sign the documents right there. My brother would 100% kill my parents to just get them out of the way and get their money. 100%. And if you think my brother's like that, imagine what the average person's like. I think most people you meet in England are so cold, they would kill their own granny for convenience. 100%. Because they've got to go to work, they've got to get the children, they don't have time, and they just want the insurance money. It's scary in England. I don't want to be here anymore. I just don't have any hope. And that's why I'm failing at life. How can I get on in life, Jamie, when I look at, let's say I get a job, am I ever going to get a pension? Am I fucked? Like, I'm not even getting into pensions. Am I going to be able to realistically buy a house? Anywhere in England. Anywhere. No. Is it likely I'm going to find a girl who I can trust and make good decisions and settle down with? No. Can I even hold a job down in this climate? No. And I admit, I'm not an angel at work. I'm not. But there's no way that I should be getting... I've been fired, what, 6 times in a row? And it's always been with a dispute with a woman. Every single one. And like, I don't see how I'm supposed to motivate myself in the morning to go, oh, we can get a job, Paul. It's like, what's the point? And my mum, dad are in there coming up to their 70s. My dad's going to be ill. I'm going to have to look after him, aren't I?
Yeah, at some point.
I'm going to have to look after... and then once dad's gone, I'm going to have to take mum out of the country. Like, I'm telling dad, like, you've got to get a shotgun license too. You've got to. Because, like, you can get guns. You can get a shotgun license tomorrow. And then you can get guns in the house. And it's like, why are you saying that? Why are you saying that? I was like, look, this country's crazy. If they pull the plug on electricity just for a couple of days, you're going to be grateful you've got those guns. And look at the shape of you, like, you can't even walk down the road. You've got no way of defending the house. Just no way. And if I have to come to the house and defend it with you, I know I'm talking apocalyptic talk, but come on, man, get yourself a fucking shotgun license and get a couple of guns in the house. It's not as if you haven't got the cash. And give me a fucking key to it, do you know what I mean? These are the sort of conversations I'm now having. Not saying it's going to happen, but I think we should be prepared just in case.
Yeah.
England's getting crazy, man.
Here's an article I found on Drudge that I think is pretty interesting.
Oh, hang on. You'll like this just before I get rid of it. This one. New Mexico authorities urge clients of Starr giving vampire facials. You know the vampire facials they do in Mexico?
Oh, yeah. Well, did you see Young Blood? Here, I'll bring up the article so people can see it. You know, and it's funny because we'd always said this is how the Queen Elizabeth stays so young. Here it is in Newsweek. Want to live longer? How young blood holds the key to anti-aging. Yeah, and there were a whole bunch of articles about this the one week that basically was all talking about drinking blood and everything like that. And
it's like Owen Benjamin said, zombies are real.
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny? I had it...
Office Door, and I keep going back to it, just proves the point. I know they're not the most demonic of zombies, but when I go into Twitter, everyone's a zombie.
So, speaking of Owen Benjamin and zombies, though, is funny because I think in one of those videos, he talked about vegans and how one of their, whether they'll admit it or not, one of the things they do is they subjugate humans under animals, that they care more about animal rights and animal safety and health more so than humans. I had this girl, because the cafe I work in is kind of, we do health food and juices and all that stuff. I had a girl come in. Let me tell you, first off, she came in looking like she was dying. And she just opens the menu and goes, vegan, and I'm like, oh my god, she was like a vegan zombie. Yeah, it was like mind-blowing, like looked like a zombie, and I really just wanted to be like, no, you need a steak and you need it now, but yeah, vegan zombie. It was. I wish I could have videotaped it so people could see it, because they would be blown away. But I was just like, oh my god, what is wrong with you that you're just dying and just being vegan? It was like a zombie being brains. It was.
I sent my mum that Owen Benjamin video of zombies,
and
that's what really woke her up to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Watch it. When I link that to what you're saying, you are literally dealing with zombies. Maybe I need to think about what risk I'm putting my son at if he has to deal with these zombies because I'm too ill. That could be a real situation. Say my mum falls ill next week and she's in the hospital, and I've got a zombie doctor telling me it's a good idea to kill her, and then I've got the police defending a zombie police officer turning up, telling me how evil I am for not wanting the doctor to kill. And the doctor's not even British. I know, don't want to get race into it, but that's why they've got all these foreign doctors here. They don't have any relationship to the society. They don't have any relationship to the people. And they come from very authoritative states. These Muslim doctors come from authoritative states. If the government tells that doctor to kill somebody, I think it's just easier for them to do. I think because they're zombies. They're easier to program into zombies than if you had a white doctor who's always lived in Britain, understands the culture, understands society. You'd be like, yeah, I can understand why you don't want me to do this. It's just everywhere I go. It's just zombie nation. Man.
Yeah, well, and it's here's an article.
I honestly think, like, you know, you keep hearing about like end of times. I'm convinced this is it.
Well, and here's even
I can't see us getting past 2020. I really can't.
The Guardian's got an article. The Impossible Body. We will get regular body upgrades. What will humans look like in 100 years? And I'll just read you the first.
100 years? Give it just till 2025, dude.
Well, I'm just going to read you the first two paragraphs, and it's ridiculous. Predicting the future is a fool's game at best. Right now, it's madness. So much is up in the air, technology, politically, economically, ecologically, and spiritually. It seems as likely we'll be shivering in caves as enjoying our new bionic exoskeletons by 2118 or 2118. For all the talk of humans living longer, life expectancy has flatlined in recent years. The near future doesn't look younger and fitter so much as older and fatter as the median age in developed world powers past 40 towards the middle of the century. But all of the developments emerging now, it's technology focused on the human body that would appear to introduce the most chaos into the system. California biotech startups talk of making death optional. Facebook is working on a telepathic interface. Bionic limbs will soon outperform human limbs. CRISPR gene editing technology theoretically allows us to fiddle around with genomes. We could look, think, and feel in radically different ways. Are we ready to start treating our bodies as pieces of hardware? We might be getting there. Take something as innocuous as tattoos, which have boomed in popularity roughly in step with the information age. Seen in one light, they're a faintly retro fashion trend. In another, they show an increased willingness to alter our physical selves. You might think of them as a surgeon's marks before the real enhancement arrived. I asked 6 scientists and thinkers to share their vision for the future of the body in the next century. And you have...
You only need like one generation of kids to start doing it. And then once a few kids start doing it, then they've got all these enhancements and they can do things better than the other kids. Other kids will have to do it.
Well, the thing that worries me is they, let me try to find...
The kids are already attached to their iPhones. It's not like a million miles away now.
Yeah, no.
1,000 times a day.
And one of the things they're saying is, where is it? It's right here. I got a chip implant injected into my hand while running for the 2016 U.S. presidency as the nominist of the Transhumanist Party. At the time, I only knew a handful of people with them. Now tens of thousands do, and some companies encourage their employees to get chipped so bosses can better track workflow. Yeah, and it goes in and it talks about how... let's see. The real game changer for human health is bionic organs. Already dozens of medical companies are surgically fitting humans with robotic devices that can mimic or replace certain organs such as the pancreas, eyes, and heart. Within 20 years, all of these bionic organs will synchronize via personal instruction from one's smartphone, allowing humans to achieve feats they never imagined, climb Mount Everest at 80, or have wild sex all night. Bionic organs can outperform their biological counterparts. By 2030, I expect humans to be regularly going into body shops for upgrades.
Yeah, but what happens is...
And it's saying how the future of work is more complicated. Robots starting to steal all of our jobs. And this is one of the things they're basically saying, and this is what I was going to say bothers me, is there's a sort of corporate aspect to this, where it's like, oh, well, if you don't want to be replaced by a robot, you better become a cyborg because, you know, at the office, these women, they may not be as good as Paul at doing the spreadsheets, but if that woman gets a chip put into her brain, she can have an AI interfaced with
What
her.
brain?
Well,
You stick it on that mole next to a clit, that hairy, crusty mole. That's the nearest thing she's got to a brain.
yeah. But it says companies in California such as Kernel and Neuralink are already tackling the problem, trying to make humans more efficient workers. They aim to create neural prosthetics that allow the human brain to communicate in real time with machine intelligence, including AI and the internet. And if our thoughts are connected directly to machines, supercomputers can already do 200,000 trillion calculations a second. Where does that lead humanity? Transhumanists believe it leads to singularity, a moment in time, likely around 2045, where the exponential evolution of machine intelligence grows beyond the comprehension capacity of the biological brain. Like an ant trying to understand people, Homo sapiens won't understand AI that gets too smart. The only way for humans to stay on top of the food chain will be to merge directly with AI by uploading our thoughts and entire personality to it. But that still seems subservient to it when it's like, in order to stay on top of it, we must become it. Yeah.
Well, I guess that's why transgender's such a big thing, because if you become cyborg or merge machines, you don't need sex anymore.
Yeah, basically.
And I think that's why they're trying to merge the idea of being not gender not being a thing.
Yeah.
That's why it's such a big thing in schools, because maybe by the time they are adults, gender won't be a thing. And you'll need a license to reproduce, because to reproduce, maybe they could just do it with stem cells and then link you to this bionic machine.
Well, I think it's like a matter of it really fits with the whole like trans prefix, where it's like they're using transgender in order to precursor to transhuman, where it's like, you already have these people that are like, oh, I'm gender non-binary. Like, they think they're above man or woman, basically.
Yeah, and
like,
getting rid of the idea that humans are here to replicate, to survive and then to replicate. Once you get rid of the replication, you need to get rid of the idea that humans are here to replicate.
yeah.
I guess the way to do that is to get rid of gender. Confusing gender to start with. But the other thing is they probably have already done it, because if you go on McDonald's webpage, they've got this stuff about nanotech and food. So they're putting nanotech in McDonald's food. You think if that gets into your blood, into your brain, maybe the plants are already in you. Because if Hitler was doing these injections that could get little nanobots to your brain, he was doing that in the 30s. But we're in 2018 now. And that reminds you of the Prince story. Like, you listen to Prince's last days, how he couldn't sleep for 6 days in a row. So like, my question would be, was someone gang stalking him? Hitting him with one of these weapons that you hear about, like in China, those people getting hit with energy weapons. Maybe someone was hitting Prince with energy weapons before he died. And that's why he was probably going crazy on the drugs more than normal.
Michael Jackson thought he was. He
Yeah,
wasn't
exactly,
drinking.
yeah.
He wasn't drinking food
Couldn't
or.
get to sleep. Yeah, couldn't sleep, ill all the time. Yeah, Prince stopped eating just before he died. He had throat problems, couldn't get food down. He had to have all his food liquidized, pretty much. It's like, is no one going to ask if this guy was gang stalked? And the way he dies in an elevator, stairways go to heaven, elevators go to hell. Prince always talked about the elevator. And you dump the guy in the elevator. And then you've got the Simpsons thing, where they murder him in the Simpsons. It's like, I used to hang around with Prince's band, not hang around them, but I used to hang around them on Skype. It's like, and none of you fucks going to ask any questions. And it wasn't an accident. Like, he had enough of this opioid to kill 2 or 3 elephants. I'm not joking, like maybe an elephant and a half. Are you saying that he did that by accident? Like, you don't overdose by that level, man. Come on. This guy knows what he's doing. He's been doing opioids for a long time, on and off. He's a fucking expert on it. I guarantee you Prince is an expert on opioids. And
Yeah.
dosage. And why would you get in a fucking lift when you OD? None of it makes sense. And it's also the way the press handles these celebrity deaths, where they turn it into a show, where it's never a straightforward death, is it? You can't just get the autopsy and have a decision. It's like you got to wait months for the autopsy, and then during that wait, some music videos come out. The whole thing just seems... I'm convinced someone whacked Prince. Again, it goes to... I know I'm digressing a lot, but it sounds like he might have been being gang stalked.
Yeah.
And if you look at that, I know that could be what is 5G. So I reckon we've got a lot of these heavy metals and stuff in us already. And as soon as 5G hits us...
Well, part of it...
Our brain's going to start acting differently.
Part of it, the heavy metals have been dropped for a while. That's part of what the chemtrails were all about. Is people would be doing soil testing, and they would be finding like heavy, like large samples of different aluminums and stuff like that.
But you're meant to find that in the soil, though. To be fair.
Yeah, but some of it was more than normal in certain areas. One of the things I would say, though, and it's funny you're bringing up the 5G thing, is I had always wondered if the chemtrails, as if they were trying to... Because I had seen a thing where they were talking about how they had basically an aerosolized RFID spray, where basically they could go through, and it's like a nanotech type thing, where they could go through a forest and spray the trees with this stuff, and like... I don't know what exactly... I forget the purpose of spraying the trees with it, but it was basically like, RFID nanotech cataloging things, but in an aerosolized form. And I'm like, well, what if that's what they're spraying out in these chemtrails, and they're just RFID tagging everything with nanotech and stuff?
Yeah, and once it's in the brain, they've got one bit that can make you angry, one bit that can make you just a zombie, other bit can probably just make you narcoleptic and just knock you to sleep.
Yeah, or what if they're spraying all these metals into the atmosphere and they're acting as conductors, once they're in the cycle, right. Because, if it's in the clouds, then it will come down in rain, then it will evaporate back up. Again, you're talking nanoparticles, so it'll just become part of the like weather cycles and be in the atmosphere. What if it then works as like a conductor for 5G technologies and radio waves and certain sort of, frequencies and bandwidths? And like I always thought, what if like these metal particles are actually like a conductor for like a wireless internet of sorts, and we just don't know how to tune into it, but the government or the deep state or whoever is using it to transmit information off these nanoparticles and metals and stuff. I mean, it doesn't say... I mean, that sounds very lo-fi compared to half this fucking transhumanist futuristic shit.
I'm getting more and more, like, I get my moments, so I start thinking about turning to Jesus at this point. Like, it's that off-the-charts crazy. It is like it's off-world evil.
Yeah.
And you're going to see the Pope, like I know I mentioned it last time, the Pope's going to have to stand down this year. And it's going to be gone. Foundation of Europe you're going to see it gone in 2 years now. And what's going to replace it? It's going to look just like Alex Jones's police state, Rise of FEMA. It's going to look just like that. Oh my word, Jamie, what are we going to do?
I don't know.
It is an exciting time to be alive, like I give you that.
I do think it's, as far as, like some of the stuff, I think that there are, illegal immigrant labor needed for cotton gin. Like I saw a headline about a, John Jay, the police academy type school. They just had a big revelation of something that they had called the swamp, where there was a whole bunch of professors and stuff who were getting everyone fucked up and then raping and molesting people, and you have all these revelations coming out of the church and all that. Like, it really just, it's, all this stuff is coming to light, But
Yeah, that's one of the reasons people didn't like me at work. They thought I was a Christian because I would never lie. Like, I've really got a problem with lying to people.
yeah, me too.
A really big problem with it.
I just don't see a reason to.
Now, I'd rather have the awkwardness of telling the truth and being shouted and just deal with it there and then and have it linger and that I lied. You just see it, everyone else a bad example, but it's just, I'm not attracted to women at all anymore. I can't believe I'm saying that. It's pretty rare now that I find a woman remotely. I'm disgusted by a lot of them. They kind of look revolting to me. You think, how did this happen? I used to be crazy chasing women. Now, the last thing I want is a woman around me. And I know you can say hashtag not all women. It is, yeah, there might be the odd unicorn out there, but it's just everywhere I go. I just can't do anything without wanting to be left alone, like being isolated. Yeah, I've had a few moments. Like last week, I ended up just like you end up asking Jesus for help, and then you do get like a feeling come over you, like the light come over you. You get stronger and stronger. You just think, is this just my imagination, or?
I don't know. I've always argued with the sort of more militant atheist friends of mine who are especially like people who are truth community people and who helped wake me up, but I'll see their attacks on religion just go so widespread and that they think there's no good to it. I mean, you even have people that I can't stand, like Sam Harris, who now is tiptoeing this line of religion is bad, but spirituality and the monks and these silent retreats and meditation, and it's like, oh, so religion is bad, but religion light, like diet religion, is okay now, Sam? Like, you'll admit that there's a benefit to it? And I would always tell my friends this. I'd say, listen, if you're against the Vatican, I'm fine with that. If you're against the churches, I'm fine with that. If you're against organized religion, I am fine with that. What I won't stand for, though, is you trying to say that the little old lady who goes to church on Sunday and throws $10 in the collection plate is somehow being harmed by believing in a higher power and gaining strength from that belief. There's no harm coming to that woman with her belief in religion, and it eventually becomes like it's like these people will condemn everyone for, oh, well, you can't have thought crimes and, you can't go after people and we should have free thought. But if you believe in Jesus, you're an idiot and you're a dupe and you're being fooled and the wool is over your eyes and, this and that. And it's like, wait, I thought you're against thought crimes, but if someone believes in Jesus, that's a thought crime you'll persecute them for.
I do. Like, for me, it could just be that it represents the idea that you can sign on to evil or sign on to good.
Yeah.
Maybe Jesus is just a symbol of that.
Yeah.
I'm not even saying I believe Jesus did die and come back. I'm just saying that the concept of saying, Jesus help me, can be more significant than you think.
I mean, that's essentially Jordan Peterson's stance on it, is that it's an archetypal, symbol of good and evil, and that being the sort of figurahead of that.
I mean, that's why I like weed so much, because when you smoke weed, as you know, it's very self-reflecting. Weed makes you know yourself really well, and if you were rude to someone, it's magnified when you're stoned. Even if the person deserved, you've given them shit, even if they deserved it, you still go, Paul, you could have done that better, man. Come on. You didn't have to fucking lose it that quickly. And then you know that if you're smoking weed in the evening, and you're looking back without any anxiety, you made it through the day without being a cunt to anyone. It's like, hey dude, well done.
Yeah.
Good for you. Like, remember that guy that was rude to you and you just kept your cool and you end up being friends with the guy? That's it. And then I get paranoid not because I am a cunt to people, but because I could have handled it better looking back. And I think a lot of people, the reason they're signed on to evil is because then you don't have to look at yourself in the mirror ever.
Yeah. And even one of the other things, though, that I typically...
Sorry to interrupt, but I was talking to people at work. I was going, Are you comfortable with lying to people? Like, it's just conversations you have, and they go, yeah, I lie all the time. And it's like, dude, I'm not, you know we can't be friends, right? It's like, why can't we be friends? It's like, because I know you're a liar. I can't, like, I can be nice to you, but you know we can't be close now, right? It's like, well, why? Everyone lies. It's like, I don't.
Well, and the other thing that I've seen, and it's basically one of the
I need you to tell me the truth.
one of the I guess dichotomies between sort of liberals and conservatives that you see most often is the idea.
It's modernism, isn't it? Everything's relative now.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just, yeah.
And I was gonna say is conservatives have that sort of tough love, pick yourself up by the bootstraps. Like I saw an article yesterday that referred to lawnmower parenting, and it's basically parents that, like, if their kid comes home from school and has an assignment and they're having difficulty for it, the parent will just do their homework for them so that the kid will go in and get good grades, because the parent, and it said in it, it's like, you're not doing this because you care about your kid, you're doing it because you care about yourself. Like, it's selfish for you to do the work for your kid so that everything appears okay, but the kid's not going to get a chance to grow. They're not going to learn from their mistakes. If you don't let the kid fail and pick themselves back up, you're going to create one of these snowflakes that can't handle anything and expects everyone else to do things for them.
My dad was more like Jeff Berwick. He was like, it's bad enough you have to go to school. If they can't get to school in school time, there's no way you're bringing that shit in. Like, home time's home time. You're at home, you can do whatever you want. You can play computer games all night if you want, son. You're at home. School cannot dictate to you what you do when you're at home. It's crazy. You just hand it in, not done. And when they phone up and moan, I'm not even bothered picking up the phone. How's that sound?
One of the things I wanted to just cover real quick, since we were talking about women and their insanity, James Woods was kicked off Twitter for posting this meme, and it says, "Pretty scary that there is a distinct possibility that this could be real. Not likely, but in this day and age of absolute liberal insanity, it is at least possible." And it has a picture of I don't know who, I think these might be BuzzFeed workers or something. They're all making that crazy soy mouth. I mean, it's frightening. It's making me cringe, but it says, "We're making a woman's vote worth more by staying home." And it says, hashtag let women decide, hashtag no men midterm. And it's basically...
This is going to cost the taxpayer a fortune.
Well, and it's the idea that Democrat men are going to not vote so that the women's votes will be the only ones that are counted. And like, I think it's really funny because it could happen where you just convince all of these men to like not vote so that women are the only ones represented.
Yeah, because that's such victims, they need to make a decision, don't they?
Yeah.
They're going to be, oh god. Is there any good news on the horizon? Like, is there any hope? Anywhere.
I don't know. I mean, I did see, which country was it banned gender studies?
I don't know, but countries banning stuff. Hungary, the EU have issued Hungary with Article 7. So Article 7 is quite a funny one. It basically says that Hungary is a threat to democracy, right? So the EU, they didn't accept Brexit from England, which was a democratic vote. They didn't accept Catalonia's vote. They didn't respect Italy's vote to leave. They don't respect Hungary's democracy to have a border and not have anything to do with the EU. And give them an Article 7, so then they're a threat on human rights because they're anti-democratic. It's just something else, isn't it? So, I mean, we've got a problem in England where, got the Labour and Conservatives. Jeremy Corbyn's like the commie. He's with Labour. That's where Tony Blair came from. We've got these elections coming up. Labour's campaign is, if we win, we're going to have a second referendum. Oh my god. You gotta be kidding me. No, they're not kidding. And then on the other fence, you've got Theresa May, that witch. And then you've got UKIP. And I keep telling people, you got to keep your eye on UKIP, guys.
Yeah.
They're going to storm this. And you know, the name is going to thank the UKIP. It's like Tommy Robinson's joined. Did I tell you Tommy Robinson's going to join UKIP? How long ago did I say that? He was going to get
A few weeks ago.
Mate, it's longer than that.
Yeah.
I've been saying it for ages. Now Tommy Robinson's getting a seat in UKIP. The Bank of, what is it? Count Dankula is in. Paul Joseph Watson's in. Sargon of Akkad's in. You're going to get PewDiePie joining. It makes sense PewDiePie joins them because of Article 13. And PewDiePie is from Sweden and lives just the next town from me. So I imagine there's the reason he doesn't live in Sweden. I can only guess. But I imagine he wouldn't fit in too well in Sweden, PewDiePie. So I'm not saying PewDiePie's going to run for UKIP, but don't be surprised if he drops a few videos and a few red pills in his videos.
I did just see.
People are laughing. It's like, I can't see this. My parents have been conservative for all their lives. They won't vote conservative now. They're going to go UKIP. And that's my parents, man.
Oh, that's Switzerland, not Sweden. The Swiss just voted a burqa ban.
Yeah, it's not going to happen, no.
Yeah. Here's something I think is interesting that I see on Breitbart. It's watch Beto O'Rourke to Black American, illegal immigrant labor needed for cotton gin. And they basically, this is a point I have tried to make forever, that illegal immigrants are the new slave labor of America. And these same people that are like, oh, we need to fight for blacks because of slavery, we also need illegal Mexicans. Here's the exchange. Black American. My question is, do you support granting citizenship and American-paid benefits to illegal aliens who violated our country to come here, who fly their foreign flags here, who have citizenship in their country, and whose families did absolutely nothing to build this country, while black people are subject to things that you explained before? Can you answer yes or no, please? Beto O'Rourke. Many people built this country, first of all, and we are a country of many people. And I'm paraphrasing Congressman Lewis at this point.
They didn't have welfare back then, did they?
No. But he said something to the effect that each of us came to this country in a different ship. Some of us came here against our wills. Some of us immigrated here lawfully. Some of us are showing up right now as we speak. They're fleeing the deadliest countries in the planet today. The North, and you know what's so funny is, isn't it amazing how Trump calls all these places shitholes, and they all go up in arms about it. But then if you ever act like we should send them back, they say, but they're so deadly. Their countries are in ruins. They're
when all the Mexicans come, you see them all flying their flags. It's about Mexico. Mexico's bigger. Mexico. It's like, we're sending you back to Mexico. Me not like Mexico.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, and they'll call them everything short of shithole. And it says, the Northern Triangle countries of Central America. Imagine how bad things have to be for you to scoop up that 6-month-old daughter of yours and walk 2,000 miles to refuge in a country that is comprised of
what
people.
What do you think I'm thinking about at the moment?
What?
Becoming a refugee.
Huh?
I'm thinking about going a lot further than 2,000 miles. Well, I'm thinking about that, aren't I? That's what we've been talking about the last hour. That I'm thinking about fleeing.
Yeah. And it says, walk 2,000 miles to refuge in a country that's comprised of people from all over the world. But yet we hear it's a white supremacist country that is awful to everyone who's not a cisgendered straight male. And it's amazing, of course, their solution, of course, is the only way to make it a country that isn't only for white cisgender straight males is essentially to genocide or replace all of the cisgender white males. Anyway, and yes, there are some people who did not follow our laws when they came here to be with their families or to work jobs, and in some cases, no one was willing to work in their communities. I mentioned going to high school at Roscoe. I also went to the Cotton Gin in Roscoe, and at that Cotton Gin, there are 24 jobs, and a manager of that gin says it does not matter what the wages that I pay or the number of hours that we set. No one born in Roscoe or Texas or in this country who is willing to work, but there are immigrants who are coming from Central America or Mexico or other parts of the world to Roscoe to work these jobs and to help build our economy. This is the exact word for word reasoning that the Democrats put forth for slavery. Who else is going to work these jobs? They're building our economy. This is why did we need blacks picking cotton? Well, who else is going to work the cotton fields? They're building our economy. Like, it is word for word. And you want to see something that will piss off a liberal black Democrat? Present this to them. Because they won't want to admit it, because they are so indoctrinated that they are doing something that their position is one built on compassion for these illegals. And yet when you present this and you're like, yeah, but the reasoning for this is the same reason that black people were enslaved, and they just won't even know what to do. That's when you'll get called a racist. That's when it just turns into name calling. Because it is word for word, and these Democrat politicians are saying this shit. It's fucking ridiculous. It's more things change, the more they stay the same.
What's your prediction coming in for the October? I mean, I think that's what really answer about. What are they going to do from now till November? Because I think people are underestimating how big this time's going to be. And it's so quiet now, it kind of feels like calm before the storm.
Well, actually, I saw there's been a handful of shootings. And what's...
The one I want to bring up was actually, I know you're going to bring up a different one. It's going to be the Iranian shooting. That was a bit weird yesterday. They're doing a military parade and someone opened fire. I wonder if that was Trump. So. That's what I'm getting worried about. Trump, that Iranian shooting's got FBI, CIA written all over it.
Well, I wasn't even talking globally. I meant there was a shooting where there was the one at the gaming thing. There was one though recently. I don't know if it was at a school or something, but I think it was a woman and like 3 other people got shot or something. But it's weird because some of these stories, like, I would expect it to still kind of be in the headlines and them looking into who did it and why and everything like that. Let's see, mass shooting. Jackson, female gunman in Maryland kills 3 in third mass shooting in 24 hours. So yeah, I think you're having some of these situations sort of activated so that way basically they're preparing a platform for the if they can't just do this racist rapist thing, they're going to say you need to vote Democrat because we're going to be the only ones to do something about these shootings and the NRA and everything like that. Well, now here it says
you got no Alex Jones to give to your study club. If they pulled off a big shooting now, there wouldn't be much of an alternative voice putting out.
Yeah. Well, and especially, look, what is their battering ram that they took Alex down with? Questioning Sandy Hook. Sandy Hook is the sacred cow. I think I'm going to do like a big video that I'll probably spend 2 weeks on of just pulling clips and I won't even draw conclusions. I'm just going to put like this forth and be like, the reason the Sandy Hook conspiracy theory has legs and is one that can be carried on is because of these surface level things that are ridiculous. I mean, I have
it's like they fight the conspiracy, then blame the conspiracy. It's like it was you guys that invited the conspiracy.
Yeah, like I mean,
so you can attack it, then play the victim. It's like what I do at work. It's so malicious and calculated.
Yeah, I have a friend of mine who voted Bernie, and I showed them this video once. But I mean, now they were just sending me pictures of all the Trump 2020 stickers they got for us. Like, he's basically completely been converted. He'd still consider himself a classical liberal, like not really a Republican. But anyway, I showed them this video because I presented the idea, because they're into theater and acting and all that stuff, the idea of crisis actors and stuff. And I showed him this video this guy made as a joke, kind of mocking crisis actors. I don't know if I ever sent it to you. It's really funny. I'll definitely send you the link. But it's one of the clips they show in there is the father from Sandy Hook, and he was watching it being like, oh my god, he just got into character, like on camera, like went from laughing and having a grand old time 1 second to taking a deep breath and then going into a state of mourning. Like he's definitely acting, and I'm like, yeah, that's one of the fathers of the Sandy Hook victims. You have that going.
What I would do is talk to the cameras. My family was shot dead in a mass shooting.
Yeah, I'm not going to want to talk to anyone. I'm going to be with family and friends.
And if I did say stuff, you wouldn't be able to put it on there. I'd fail to find the person that did it and kill him on TV. That's what I would do. So whoever did this, I'm going to find you and kill you. I mean it too. I'd find that fucking kill him. You know, if you talk like that, it's like I come across as the psycho, like just wanting to protect your family now. It's like crazy.
Yeah. Well, and the thing I saw someone get asked this, and I've asked my mom this. I've always wondered, like, when these people, you ask them kind of flat out, like, would you rather own a gun or, you know, have a situation where a gun's at your head and someone's saying, you know, I'm going to rape you or kill you? Like, wouldn't you at least like the option of being able to, like, defend yourself?
Yeah,
like,
they probably could kill you anyway, so you might as well kill a few of them first.
Yeah.
Yeah, as well.
It just...
So at least, I know it's a famous film, but at least Die Hard.
Yeah, it's like you really have people that are extremely comfortable with the idea of being the victim in the scenario.
Yeah, I want to be spit. If you tried to kill me, Jamie, and you actually got me, I'm spitting blood in your face. You know, that's the last thing I do. You know, when you've got blood in your mouth, I'm spitting that in your face, dude. Even that's the last thing I can do. Just so that's always in your memory bank. Yeah, a lot of people just lie down and just... They'll probably apologise for the fact the other guy's going to kill them. I'm sorry you had to kill me. I'm okay with it. Fuck that, I'm biting your balls now. It's like when you watch those ISIS execution videos of people like... I get they probably don't have much choice, but when they just lie there and just ready to take it. It's like, have you not got that last bit of fighting?
Yeah.
And now and again you see the videos where the guy pulls it off, where they don't expect it, and he does get the ISIS gun, and he just ends up shooting the executioner himself. How... the best, man.
Well, because the thing, too, is I think most people that are just engaged in a sort of indiscriminate act of murder, like, they're not going to be like a trained assassin or like a marksman. Like, that's one of the other...
That's the big question. Like, what would you do if you was in that queue? Would you like, are they going to kill me anyway, dude? Let's at least try and take out a couple.
Well, and you know, that's...
At least Nazis have nightmares. Next time they round up Jews, at least they're a little bit more careful that one of them could be a Levi, you know?
That's the other thing about the Sandy Hook shooting. You know, for some reason the media is really good at presenting sort of narratives with inherent contradictions that people just believe. And I don't know if they're just not questioning of authority in general, but like, think about it. You know, they put forth the idea that Trump is a absolute buffoon who's akin to a horse running loose in the White House. Just, you know,
he is like that.
But
still the only option you had.
But beyond that, they put forth that as narrative 1, and then narrative 2 is that Trump is Hitler, who is secretly planning a mass execution of gays, Muslims, and blacks, and whoever else, and that he's secretly colluding with Russia and tied in with the KGB. And, you know, it's like, you can't have Dr. Evil is a buffoon, because, like, it's like, is he an evil criminal mastermind who's been running scams and, you know, whatever his whole life, and he's just this villainous evil character that should be feared and you can't sleep at night? Or is he a moron who goes off half-cocked saying things that he doesn't fully understand? And, you know, it's like, he can't be super evil genius and an idiot buffoon at the same time. The media always puts forth this idea, like the Sandy Hook shooter, where he's like an autistic kid who's, you know, really weird and kind of clumsy and doesn't get along with anyone, but somehow he's able to shoot people and take them out with military precision, even though he's never been to a gun range. How? Like, you can't be an autistic fucking kid who's also, like, shooting like he's on Black Ops or something.
And then you've got 2 Black Ops guys that do actually get arrested, telling the parents they didn't do it, and you never hear from them again.
Running off in the middle of the woods, yeah. And showing the chase in the woods on live TV, but then if you question it, how dare you? Like, I mean,
I think Sandy Hook might have been a bit of both. There might have been some real school kids killed. I think you've got to mix it up.
That's what I've said all along about every conspiracy theory, is I think they mix it up. I think
that's a good example. Like, if you look at 9/11, you've got the war drill going on. You've got the real attack going on. You've got Israel. The Jews were involved in it. That's coming from a Jew. They were involved in it. Were they completely responsible? No.
Well, you can't just collectivize Jews with, like, I mean, and that's one of the other things.
Before we go there, so
okay.
You've got war drills going on. So that's your own government involved in this attack. You've got Mossad involved in it. You've got the Islamic people involved in it. You've got the CIA involved in it. You've got drills. And that's called the fog of war. They create the fog of war before they go to war. So you've got multiple people that are involved in it. You've got some drills which are just ploys, which are just there to distract, so the real attack can happen. And when the real attack happens, you've got all these possibilities going. I think it's all of them. I think the government do that to cloud it up.
Yeah. And I mean, you know,
probably with the Islamists. Mossad probably got them to do it. They probably hired them. The FBI probably knew about it. It's a group of people, so you can't depend on one motive. There are lots of reasons why 9/11 had to happen. Mossad had their motives. Islamic State had their motives. The FBI had their motives. Cheney had his motives. The secret societies did. And when they collude, then you've got one group of people going, it's the Jews. You've got the other group going, it was the Islamists. You've got the other group going, no, it was Bush. And it's like, you know, the bad guys are getting away with this right now.
Yeah. And it's like, the other thing, too, is you also even have these other 2 conspiracies of, like, were the planes holograms? Was it Project Bluebeam just being projected out there? And then there's the other one of the directed energy weapons being used.
I reckon they were Boneyard planes.
Yeah, probably.
They were stuck together in their big drones. The real planes landed somewhere.
But I mean, it's also like, you know, you could even have had them.
I'm not having this hologram crap, and I'm not having this energy weapon shit.
You know,
it's going too far.
Well, I when you see the pictures of the melted cars and all of that, like, I could see that maybe they did fire off, you know, do an actual testing for energy weapons at the same time as all of the other, because like you said, fog of war, and then it creates this whole other rabbit hole that people start going down, and where does it ultimately end to? No indictments or anything like that.
That's how it's so genius. It leads to everyone, because so many people are involved in it. You can follow any of those leads, and they were involved. But I think that's what a cabal is. It's a mixture of group of people.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it's just they want to create as many narratives as possible, because it just...
But it's easy, yeah.
It creates more confusion and more people, you know, like...
Fighting. And you think it was the Jews, it was Bush. Now it was the Islamists. You're with them. And then people that actually want 9/11 truth end up in fighting with themselves.
Yeah. Oh, all the time, because one person thinks they know that it was the energy weapons, and the other person thinks they know it was the holograms, and the other person knows that there was bombs in the buildings, and, you know, yeah, and then it creates the infighting between all of them on whose theory is right.
Bombs in the buildings is a good example. Yeah, a bunch of it, no, a plane did it, no, the oil did it. It's just like, it's probably all three. A plane hit it, it triggered off the bombs, and the petrol probably didn't help things, if I'm honest. Didn't put the fire out, but it had another petrol. Like, it's a mixture of things. Yes, it was the petrol caused heat. Yes, it was a plane hitting it at 500 miles per hour. Also, probably had some help with some thermite.
Yeah.
I don't see why one of them is mutually exclusive.
Well, see, and you know the other thing is, like, as far as this being used as a general thing, like, you know, I encountered that when I questioned the, Chester Bennington being the son of Podesta and everything.
Yeah, you're right, dude.
Well, see, and here's the thing, though, is my apprehension is because you have these YouTube channels, like I mentioned last time, where they just go on saying everyone is transgender. Now, I've even seen them now saying,
coming from Jamie.
saying that Shoe on Head is transgender. Or you have the ones where it's like, you know, Justin Bieber is really Miley Cyrus, and that's why you never see them at the same place at the same time. Like, there's a whole conspiracy subgenre of this person looks like this person. Maybe they're really the same person. Maybe Sarah Palin really is Tina Fey. And when she's on Saturday Night Live, that's why she just does that good of an impression of her. Like, it's this whole other, like, rabbit hole that exists, and it's like a den of rabbit holes, basically. But I find that where it's like, okay, you know, I'll sit here and give everyone the suicide was suspicious, the tie-in with Cornell and them being friends, that's suspicious, and everything like that. Do we want to sit here and argue all day about whether Chester was related to Podesta or not, or do we want to just focus on his suicide and that being suspicious and everything we know of Podesta in the WikiLeaks? Like, what I really think happened is I think what they tried to do is they tried to say, all right, what are these narratives we have coming out of the WikiLeaks things? Well, we have Hillary sick and her witchcraft, Marina Abramovich stuff and everything like that. We have the Podesta stuff and everything. And it's almost like they try to segue the conspiracy theories and then tie them up with a knot, or either have them just go endlessly. So it's like in Pizzagate, you had them tie that up with the actor going in and firing off the bullet, and, you know, you thought there were kids in the basement, and this, and that, and it's like always the little bits that are irrelevant. Whether there's a basement or not is irrelevant. Why is James Alefantis so important and so tied into Washington? What's with the $5,000, $50,000 hot dogs Obama's getting flown in?
I'll tell you why that basement's relevant, because he did an interview saying he doesn't have a basement. And in other interviews he did, he says, I'm growing shit in my basement. You either got a basement or you haven't got a basement.
Yeah.
Right?
Now, does he mean...
That's the point with the friggin' basement, man!
But it's like...
That guy's creepy as fuck.
He is, and that's what I'm saying, though, where it's like, what's the saying? Like,
is I love children in French. You will try to...
There's an old saying, you can't see the trees over the shrubs, or you can't see the, like, I'm worried that's what, can't see the forest for the trees. And it's basically like, all right, you know, if he said he's growing stuff in the basement, or was he talking about the basement of his house or the basement of the other? There's enough big picture stuff. That's what I'm saying. Everyone loses sight of the big picture stuff when they're arguing over the little details. And I feel like the media leads us to those little details in order to do that and just create the infighting, where it's like, okay, regardless of the basement or the not a basement, or the guy walking in there and not walking in there, like, can we at least say, let's investigate it? Like the James Gunn stuff, for example. That's why I feel like Ted Cruz, like, when everyone's like, oh, should he be fired? Should he not be fired? Is he joking? Is he not joking? Is he a pedophile? Or is it just, you know, this weird fetish stuff? Like, let's investigate it. Like, it should be investigated. Let's not bicker about it now. You know, like the 9/11 thing, or the Sandy Hook thing, though, it baffles me, because that's the only one where I feel like they are really trying to shut down debate and make people afraid to talk about it.
Oh, it's got the biggest holes now.
Probably. And it's a lot smaller scale than 9/11, so it's easier to kind of dig into. And then, I mean...
But no, if you did prove that was a TV show, it would put into question every single news event that's been big. It really would. People would really wake up to that and be like, okay, they lied about dead kids in school. and then the whole town had to be on it. Oh, the whole town's nearly set up when you look into Sandy Hook. It's
Well,
a place.
and you know what the other thing too is, yeah, like you're saying, because I've seen things about them getting the houses for free and all sorts of stuff, which is again,
did lots of MP Ultra programs in that area. You had lots of psychiatric wards around that area where they were doing this kind of stuff. So it had a reputation long before Sandy Hook.
yeah. But one of the
No one
things,
knows Adam Lancer. Was it Adam Lancer? Okay.
yeah.
Nobody knows him.
Well, and the other thing I was going to say is, you know, I feel like with the having the Sandy Hook kids singing at the Super Bowl, that's a level of arrogance that I think we haven't seen before, and maybe that's why they have to really protect it, is because they were kind of flaunting it.
You stress, because if you solve the code and they rub it in your face, it's like, how can everyone not see this? It makes you want to give up. You're like, even if I can't, even if I know the truth, people are never going to wake up anyway, even if it's in your face, because the public are dumb.
Yeah, because you're right. You really shouldn't have to go any farther than 12 kids from this school, the same amount that they said were shot, were brought to the Super Bowl singing. There's a lawsuit going on, and they can't produce the field trip forms. There's no record. There are no names of these kids who sung at the most televised event. There's no one posting on their social media, I was there, I was that kid. There's no record of these kids, who they are, even existing at the most televised event in history. And that should pique your interest. That should...
It's what the FBI do. They go around schools, right, and they get mummies, they get mums, because we know what my opinions are of women. They go, do you want to be a superhero and work undercover? And they're like, yeah. It's like, what I need you to do is go into your room, pretend your kid got shot. And what happens is when that's all over, you can go live in the Bahamas, you can drink cocktails the rest of your life.
And you did your part to help stop real shootings.
Yeah, you are now working for the National Security Homeland.
Yeah. You're right. They probably sell it to them and make it sound real sexy, like you're a secret agent.
They're probably single moms, and there's no dad to go there going, what the fuck are you up to?
Yeah, the fathers could just be actors or something. Yeah.
I think women would be easy recruits for that, I really do. Especially single moms, they ain't got any.
No, I think they would too. I think you were so spot on with that. I guarantee you could go to, I mean, even in my local area, you could go to...
No, I didn't come up with this. They did this in the UK, it's called MI5 Mummies. They recruited mums, and that's what I think the Joe Cox murder was. You know, when, just before the Brexit, that MP got killed, allegedly.
Yeah.
Right, when I think she was never an MP. I think she was just a mummy that became an actress, telling she was an MP. And then they just staged this thing where she got stabbed and she was in the Bahamas. There's no family actor that hit. Her husband's been ready to roll out any time there's a speech about, you know, racism and fascism and Brexit. And it's like, give me a break, dude. His wife's meant to be dead, you know, I mean, surely that should be his concern, not fucking Brexit. That is an MI5 mummy, Joe Cox. Put Joe Cox into Google. I'm not buying that fucking story, man. Fucking not. Yeah, women are going to be the new SS Starr player, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and they just tell them this is real feminism and empowered. And yeah, and the thing is they're basically, it's ingrained in them to feel resentment towards society at large and everything like that. Just tell them they're doing their part to fight for things like gun control and to save the children. Yeah.
Get the guns away from the men. And the kids will be safe. We're so screwed, man. I think October is going to be a crazy one. If I don't know what they're going to do, if I haven't got a clue, what's going to be... I think it's going to be the biggest October surprise we've seen, dude. Maybe they killed Trump, I don't know. I don't know what
I mean, maybe if there ends up being a red wave, because I really wonder about, them reporting that Democrats are winning and they're up in polls, only because of how off they were with Hillary.
Trump's won the election, right? How bad was it for Trump building up to the election? Fucking bad. It's got better for him. So how is the result? I don't understand how the midterms aren't going to be anything but a success for Trump.
Yeah.
I don't really know how midterms goes. That's not I've ever followed it. But I don't even know who's on the other team. Who is the other team? It's obviously not Bernie Sanders.
No.
It's not Hillary. Who is it?
I mean, you basically had those two that were really going after Kavanaugh. You have Cory Booker and, who's the other one? She's insufferable. Kamala Harris.
So you got two desperados.
Basically. But I mean, they were probably going to be the ones running against Trump in 2020. As far as these midterms...
Trump isn't running 20... I don't think Trump will run in 2020.
The other thing I wonder is, like, with some of these, like, if you go through my area, all you see are like, there's one Republican guy running, and you'll see his signs, and then for the Democrats, again, there are, like, 6 or 8 different options in every category, and it's like, all that's going to do is spread the vote so that you'll have so few votes for each of them that the Republicans will just...
if you can't find middle ground in your own party...
Yeah, and it's just, I think it's going to end up helping the Republicans along.
How long do you think I'll last before I actually have a full mental breakdown? Do you want to take bets?
I don't know.
How long can I hold on?
I don't know. One of the other things I saw is I was seeing a lot of things about that drag queen kid being, in the news again. What is it? Something is amazing, or Desmond is amazing. And I saw them...
can't write pedophilia, it's so cool.
Well, I saw them hanging out with Michael Alley again, and I'm like, he's a murderer. Like, this is a little more than tolerance. Like... This is like, oh, if you're gay, you can literally get away with anything at this point and then just be welcomed back into society. And it's like, oh, yeah, drag kids and murderers, tolerance, diversity. Like, I mean, God.
Let's throw an Islamist in there as well.
It might as well. Like, yeah, do a drag show in a burqa.
God damn it! I used to enjoy life. Oh, God, I have so much hope now. Oh, it's a beautiful place. I've got anything happen. I never predicted when I was 20. I didn't even know what Islam was when I was 20.
Yeah, I barely did.
I didn't give a shit. I didn't even know anything about gay people or transgenders. Like, transgender just laughed at it, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a joke. I mean, in every comedy special.
Imagine if you had kids. How would you? Imagine if we had kids. Imagine how much the mental breakdown would be then. If you had like a little Jamie you had to protect. Where would you?
Oh, hold on. You still there?
Imagine you had a kid
Oh,
going
yeah.
to school right now, and they were like asking you all these weird questions. Like, what would you do, dude?
Yeah, I don't even know. I would just be confused. Here's an
I want to be a girl. So,
here's an article I find is interesting. Well, and you know what the other thing? This is what's always really bothered me about their whole idea about representation and like it's this narcissism type thing is when I would play like video games and stuff like that, and maybe it's just because I grew up in a house without a father and around all female figures, and I'm also taller and slimmer and not really muscular, but say if I'm playing like a fighting game, I would always pick the female characters because maybe I identified with being more agile like them than strong and brooding and, being better. being better at kicking than punching or something like that. But when I would play like fighting games or video games and stuff, I would generally always choose the female characters.
Maybe the computer games were politically correct and the female characters did it. Like, the other characters would go easy on the women.
Maybe. But
you'd actually get that in Street Fighter 2. Like, if you play Street Fighter 2 and you get a woman opponent, don't punch the woman.
like it just is like a handicap match then?
Yeah, it's like the AI gets well pissed if you punch a woman in Street Fighter 2. I'm not joking. Fight a woman in Street Fighter 2, try and keep it to kicks.
We should start a fake trolling campaign that like Gamergate feminists are trying to push for that to be like write a fake article and be like, we can't have fighting games where the women get punched because it encourages domestic violence and structured misogynist, just break it out in the lingo. And I guarantee you'd have someone like what's her face, Anita Sarkeesian retweet it or something. That would be too funny. I should do that. Write a fake article and see if she'll publish it. I want to see. I found this article real quick. It says nasty polls show Labour anti-Semitism row destroying public standing. UK Labour is being defined as the nasty party of British politics by voters fed up with its rampant anti-Semitism, according to the latest polls.
Yep, that's actually true.
And it says the term harks back to a label once used for the Conservative Party when Theresa May famously told a Conservative conference 16 years ago the party was deemed nasty by an increasing section of the electorate. Now the hard left Labour wears the appellation after a summit of discontent over leader Jeremy Corbyn's past and present relations with the Jewish community.
UKIP are going to win, aren't they? I don't know why people laugh at that. Do you know how many votes Tommy Robinson's going to get at UKIP?
Yeah.
Well, every single football supporter. Football's huge in England, guys. Massive. They don't get bigger. The biggest thing in England's football.
45% say Corbyn is either unwilling to or unable to act decisively against anti-Semitism in his party.
You've got to forget about Corbyn. Labour aren't going to put Corbyn up. No one's that suicidal. No one. Corbyn won't get anything. He's a commie. He's an open commie.
Yeah.
He used to praise Venezuela. He was friends with Venezuelan president and praised him. Called him a comrade. He speaks the same language. Like, he wasn't speaking to him in English. He was speaking to him in whatever Spanish crappy language I was talking. He's a full-on commie, man. No one's going to go for that in England. Even the commies don't like him. That's how much of a commie is. Even the commies think it's too extreme. And I can't see Theresa May. Like, she wasn't. Like, that's definitely, you've got to remember, in England, the last prime ministers we've had, none of them were actually elected. Remind me what election Theresa May won. Remind me, how did Theresa May get in? She got in because Cameron had to stand down. Cameron stood down because it was his idea to do the referendum. He was certain the referendum was going to go his way. That backfired. So he had to stand down. Then we got, no one would take the job. Boris Johnson wouldn't take it. Michael Gove wouldn't take it. No one would take the job. So Theresa May was the only person left. And not as if anyone wanted her. And go back to Cameron. He didn't actually win an election either. That was, he had to do like, when two parties join up together. Because there wasn't enough numbers. I'm too dumb to remember what that's called. So, a coalition. It was a coalition government. So no one won the election. And then before Cameron, we had Gordon Brown. Gordon Brown didn't win an election. Because I think Tony Blair must have stood down. Because of all the Iraq shit. And just how evil he was. So the last 3 or 4 prime ministers we've had didn't even win an election. You're going back 2010, pretty much.
You know what I was just thinking about?
8 fucking years. And we get our first proper election, and people going, UKIP could win. It's like, dude, you've never, the people I talk to, their idea of politics is Coronation Street. It's like soap operas.
Yeah.
You have no idea what's going on in reality.
Well, that's that's part of, I feel like, the other problem is, we've had enough shows like House of Cards and everything like that, and that's the thing, and that's almost why they try to smear Trump with that. He's a reality TV star and undermining his sort of business accomplishments, because it's like, you guys...
Trump's another thing too. If Trump's president of the United States, who's he going to be favourable towards in England? Jeremy Corbyn, right? Can you see Jeremy Corbyn and Trump having anything in common?
No.
Right. Trump and Theresa May, how's that going?
Not great.
Okay. Nigel Farage and Trump, how's that going?
That would... smashing. It would be wonderful.
So why would you laugh at Nigel Farage winning this? As long as we can... That's why England has to keep Trump on side. Because if Trump goes, we lose Brexit for sure.
Yeah.
Imagine if Obama was still in and the Brexit vote had happened. What sort of stuff do you think Obama would be saying?
Oh, he'd be pushing against it every second he got. Here's something, back to what you were saying earlier, because I think it really sat in the idea of, like, if I had a kid right now. Listen to this. Purdue holds gender-neutral homecoming honoring royalty rather than king and queen. Purdue University in Indiana held its first gender-neutral homecoming on Saturday in an effort to bring equality to campus. And now, here's the other thing that bothers me, and it always seems to be the mentality of the left, is it's never let's uplift the, 0.99% of people that we're trying to represent here as in trans people. It's always, let's tear down the actual 99% to the level of the 0.99%. Like, let's take the majority and make them the same as the minority, rather than bringing everyone up. It said, the university's student-led Spirit and Traditions Committee decided to do away with the traditional king and queen labels for the ceremony's respective male and female winners, instead bestowing them with the title of homecoming royalty. And it goes on talking about this year and, how Penn State did this also to promote diversity and gender neutrality. And it says, our goal is to identify the best students to represent Penn State without regard to their gender, gender identity, or gender expression, said Allie Burdan, because the three of them are different, let's remember. Purdue made headlines earlier this year for its writing guide, which instructed students to avoid using words with man in them, such as mailman, in favor of more gender-neutral terms like mail carrier, according to Campus Reform. Now, when I was reading this, what really sat in is the idea of this is not trying to uplift trans people or gender non-binary or any of that. It's really actually just the elimination of male and female. And Dave Rubin did an interview with a sex researcher, an Asian woman, who's really broke this down and had very simple answers for a lot of these things, where she basically said this whole idea of gender fluidity and gender as a social construct is something I've been saying for a while, which is it's based on stereotypes, but she kept just referring to them as it's based on sexism, because the stereotypes are all inherently sexist. It's basically the boys wear pants and like the color blue, girls wear dresses and like the color pink. If you're a boy that likes to wear dresses and likes the color pink, well then you must be a girl.
Pink for boys and blues for girls. That's how it originally started.
Is it? I mean,
I think so.
Who knows at this rate? But it's based in these, ideas of gender just being a set of actions and behaviors, and all of those are the things that we're told are sexist stereotypes. Now maybe they have reasons in biology and things like that, but there is an inherent level of sexism, and it's basically in order to, like, they're using this warped sexist view in order to actually eliminate the sexes, male and female. And I was just thinking, how would I feel like if I was a kid growing up and there was, like, you didn't have terms like male, man, and like man and woman were actually just gone. Like they were just no longer, like, and everything was just for persons or the care.
Got an article here. Pink used to be a boy's colour and blue a girl's. Here's why it all changed. And that's on UK Business Insider. Can't be bothered to read why it is, but Pink was seen as a kind of boyish version of the masculine colour red, so it gradually started to change. There's been a few articles, and I don't know, I don't really care. But maybe it's changed once, it's changed again, you know? Maybe they've done this before. So history does repeat, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting.
But it could just be bollocks.
Well, no, one of the things it's saying, is that, like, how did pink get ghettoized as a girl's color? That one of the things I saw in a clipping, I'm trying to find it real quickly, but it was basically saying how, the color pink was closer to red, which is seen as a sort of fiery, outgoing type color, and blue is more subdued and relaxed and
More pastel colour, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, more passive basically.
I think I'll tell you what the October surprise is. You ready for this?
Sure.
I think there's going to be an economic collapse. There's going to be some kind of hit on the markets. And I wouldn't be surprised if they just have a little EMF weapon go off in America. Just maybe knock the electrics out just for a couple of days. And then that would be the Russians that did it, or China did it. And it would be because of Trump. Because, you know, Trump is not one of their insiders anymore. But yeah, I can see it, something going down in America, something like that. Okay, maybe a blackout. I just can't believe how quiet the news has been for like a couple of weeks. Just feels like they're either building up something.
Yeah. And it's like I said, it's especially with some of these little shootings that they aren't really reporting much, and I don't know. It feels like there isn't anything big going on, but it's tiny things that are just kind of accelerating and in the mix. But anyway, we should probably wrap it up. We got 2 hours worth here.
Yeah, most of it's just me bitching about getting fired.
No, that's really only the first 15 minutes or so. But
yeah, see, I can make it 6 in a row then.
Well, good luck. Hopefully you find something where it's not female infested. I mean, the thing is, you know, some of these places probably have quotas.
Construction.
Yeah, construction, like I said. But a lot of these places probably have quotas where they have to have all of these women just so they can say, look at us doing our part. And that's that.
It's got to a stage where I don't even want a job anymore.
Yeah.
And it's not through laziness, it's just through the humiliation. I don't want to be humiliated again. But I'm not saying I'm like brains of Brit, but I'm the only person that's actually trying to do a job.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's wrap it up, dude. I want to moan even longer.
Alright. I'll talk to you next week, man.
Yeah, cheers to it, man. Does help.
Alright. Take it easy.
Yeah, catch you later, man.